And Sean, if you want to just keep on the lobby and admit folks as they're coming in, um, for the first few at least, that'd be good. And then we'll kind of flip flop once I kick it over. So welcome everybody to the presentation with Veteran Benefits Administration. My name is Peter Bartel, and then we have our presenters here with the Department of Veteran Affairs as well. So this is the .gov Federal Employment Virtual Career Event. So it's great having you all. We're going to go through a few housekeeping items and then turn the floor over. So I'll read the accessibility statement. Individuals with accessibility needs requiring accommodations may reach out to online students, may reach out to OAC at snhu.edu. The number is 866-305-9430. Campus students, CAC at snhu.edu. The number is 603-644-3118. And SNHU faculty and staff, HR at snhu.edu. A request for live captioning or a live ASL and interpreting requires at least 3 weeks advance notice. And these are ways you can connect with us here at SNHU. COCE career at snhu.edu. The number you see, 888-672-1458. Our website, and then a lot of our social media at the bottom. So I am going to stop sharing screen now and hand it over to Noel and Doug. You all have the floor.
Thank you so much. While my colleague Noel gets the slide deck up, I just want to say welcome. Thanks for attending. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all of our student veterans out there and our active service members and reservists. Thank you for your service, first and foremost, before we go any further. My name is Douglas Miller. I'm a national recruiter on the national recruitment team here at the VBA. And I am speaking to you from my kitchen table in Brooklyn, New York. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Noel.
Thanks, Douglas. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. As Douglas mentioned, my name is Noel Burton. I'm part of the Veterans Benefits Administration National Recruitment Team, and I'm actually not too far from New York. I'm on the East Coast as well, in sunny Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside Washington, D.C. So welcome, everyone. That being said, we just have a brief presentation for you to be too long, just to kind of acclimate you to or get you to understand a little bit more about why you should join the Veterans Benefits Administration team. So today's agenda is real simple. We'll talk a little bit about the mission of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. We'll talk about the VA core values of I Care. We'll discuss the PACT Act, service lines of Veterans Benefits Administration, or VBA as we're affectionately called, the mission critical positions of VBA, and then finally we'll round out with benefits of federal government employment, as well as we'll take any questions you may have. So the mission of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is to fulfill President Lincoln's promise to care for those who have served in our nation's military and for their families, caregivers, and survivors. The Secretary of the VA recently stated in a press conference that he believes this mission is one of the biggest reasons that the VA has a very high retention rate amongst employees. Most people have heard of the VA, but they do not know all that it is comprised of. The VA has 3 organizations under the umbrella, and they are the VBA, which we're coming to you from today, the Veterans Benefits Administration, responsible for initial veteran registration eligibility determination and administration of VA's key lines of non-medical benefits. The VHA, Veterans Health Administration, handles the hospitals and healthcare facilities and all the clinical positions associated with them. And then finally, there's the NCA, or the National Cemetery Administration. They're responsible for burials of qualified veterans and the management of the nation's national cemeteries. We refer to the VA core values with the acronym I CARE. Integrity, acting with moral principle, high moral principle, and adhering to the highest professional standards. Maintaining the trust and confidence of all with whom I engage. Commitment, working diligently to serve veterans and other beneficiaries. Be driven by an earnest belief in VA's mission. Fulfill my individual responsibilities and organizational responsibilities. Advocacy, be truly veteran-centric by identifying, fully considering, and appropriately advancing the interests of veterans and their beneficiaries. Respect, treat all those I serve with whom I work with dignity and respect. Show respect to earn it. And lastly, excellence. Strive for the highest quality and continuous improvement. Be thoughtful and decisive in leadership, accountable for my actions, willing to admit mistakes, and rigorous in correcting them. So what's new at the VA? Well, Joe Biden signed the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxics, or PACT Act law, into effect in 2022. And it was quickly known as the largest healthcare and benefit expansion in VA history. Simply put, it expands and extends eligibility for VA healthcare for veterans for toxic exposures and veterans of the Vietnam, Gulf War, and post 9/11 eras. It adds 20 plus more presumptive conditions to burn pits, Agent Orange, and other toxic exposures. It adds more presumptive exposure locations for Agent Orange and radiation. It requires VA to provide a toxic exposure screening to every veteran enrolled in VA healthcare. It helps us improve our research, staff education, and treatment related to toxic exposures. So if you're a veteran or a survivor, you can actually file claims for PACT Act related benefits. Service lines of Veterans Benefits Administration. So the VBA provides a variety of benefits and services to service members, veterans, their families, and survivors. These benefits lines are disability compensation, pension programs, education programs, housing and home loan guarantees, job training programs, life insurance, and more. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the mission critical positions of VBA. With the PACT Act, we've had an influx of claims, and we have literally thousands of claims that come in, but we have a challenge, and that challenge is hiring and staffing enough claims processors to actually meet the demands of today's needs for our veterans. Those particular positions are listed as follows: Legal Administrative Specialists, or LAS as we like to call it. The LAS is a remote call center style position that requires extensive phone interaction with the public to advise and provide information on veterans' benefits and rights. This position offers the opportunity to work in an environment where no 2 days are the same. You'll be provided a telephone and computer equipment to handle daily inbound calls. So the entry level to this is the GS5 with promotion potential to a GS7. It is truly an entry level position with room to grow. Veteran Service Representative, or what we call a VSR. The VSR takes it another step. It explains benefit programs and entitlement criteria, conducts interviews, identifies issues, gathers relevant evidence, adjudicates claims, and inputs data. This information is used to generate an award and a notification letter to the veteran. The entry level is a GS7 here, and the promotional potential is GS9 step 10. Excuse me, GS9, GS10. The rating veteran service representative. Again, this is the next step in the job series. The RVSR analyzes claims, applies the VA schedule for rating disabilities or rating schedule, and prepares rating decisions, informing the veteran service representative and claimant of the decision. The entry level is actually a GS9 with a promotional potential to GS 10, 11, 12, which is a career ladder. The promotional potential. Employees that are in a career ladder position may be promoted after 52 weeks to the full performance level without further competition, when all regulatory, qualification, and performance requirements are met. Selection at a lower grade level does not guarantee promotion to the full performance level. And at some point, we will drop in the chat the web links so you can check out the different positions that VBA is currently hiring for. But let's talk about benefits of working for the federal government. Healthcare and insurance coverage. Health insurance, life insurance, dental and vision insurance, flexible or dependent care spending account. You may have heard that before. Retirement benefits. There are three, and here are some key takeaways. You have the Federal Employee Retirement System, or the FERS, is the retirement plan for all U.S. civilian employees. Employees under the FERS receive retirement benefits from three sources: the Basic Benefit Plan, the Thrift Savings Plan, or TSP, which matches up to 5%. That simply means that if you donate 5% of your monies, then the company, or in this case, your federal agency, will exactly match that up to 5%. Think of it kind of like a 401k plan. Then you have Social Security. The plan covers all employees in the executive, judicial, and legislative branch of the federal government, but not military personnel or employees of state or local governments. You also have time away from work. We have 13 observed holidays, annual leave for vacation, 4 hours, 6 hours, or 8 hours each pay period based upon your tenure. Sick leave, 4 hours for each pay period. We have parental leave and family medical leave, affectionately known as FMLA. Even I know for myself, even as a parent, I actually took FMLA when my youngest child was born. Leave sharing donation, which means if you run out of leave, one of your colleagues or members can donate leave to you. You also have court leave, and you have disabled veteran leave, 104 hours. This is disabled veteran rated 30% or higher. That concludes our brief presentation. And at this time, we'll take questions. Do we have any questions in the chat?
Thank you.
Thanks both. Let's see. We do have some, so I'll scroll. Oh, we have a lot. Thank you, everybody, for inputting them. Let's see. The first one is Nicole Parton asked, I'm interested in the legal AA administration. My question is that I live in Milton, Freewater, Oregon. How would I go about getting employment?
So the first of those three mission critical positions that Noel mentioned, that legal administrative specialist position, LAS, that's a 100% remote position. And those are affiliated to either an RO, a regional office. There's 56 different regional offices that VBA has throughout the country. So those legal administrative specialists, remote positions, they would either be affixed to an RO or to one of 10 NCCs, national call centers that we call them. And the best thing to do is, and so let me just, I'm going to try and encompass a bunch of things in what I'm about to say, not just to answer that question, but to knock out some other potential questions. Is so Noel and we're national recruiters, right, on the national recruitment team. So we are responsible for marketing support, for outreach support, for doing presentations like this. So I say that because caveat number one is that we do not post the positions, the job opportunity announcements on usajobs.gov. We don't post those. We don't create those. So we don't, and I can drop, or Noel can drop in the link, the URL for usajobs.gov while I'm speaking. We don't create those JOAs. We don't have a posting schedule as to when there's going to be a national announcement for this legal administrative specialist position, or even, the VSR that he spoke of, or the RVSR. We also, we're not in the big business of doing qualifications reviews of resumes or applications. We're totally there, to market, support, to help offices, as I say, to do sessions, to partner with, Southern New Hampshire and other entities to get the word out about VBA and the positions. So I share all of that out as sort of big answer number one. Some of my other answers or comments I'm going to build into that, and hopefully this is helpful info to folks out there, is I dropped the link in the chat earlier for the careers at VBA, right? And that brings you directly to usajobs.gov to all of the different VBA jobs that are posted throughout the country, right? What I would say also, if there's something that's not right now out there posted that like captures your interest that you think you're qualified for, two big suggestions right out of the gate. Number one, set up in usajobs.gov, set up daily job alerts, right? You can go onto usajobs.gov and you can create an email alert, a job alert, and it can be delivered into your inbox, monthly, weekly. I strongly suggest do it daily, right? And then you can set up the different filters and parameters. So you might, for example, you might want to see all VA jobs in the state of Michigan on a daily basis. You don't care if it's VBA or VHA or NCA. You want it, so you can set it up by agency. You can set it up by location. You can set it up by job family. I'm interested in HR VA in the state of Michigan, right? You can set up, and daily, whatever's posted, you'll get it. So that's my first big suggestion and encouragement for folks to set up these daily job alerts, number one. And I just will throw in there, the more filters you put on it, the more parameters you put on it, the smaller you're shrinking the potential pool of postings that are going to hit your inbox. So you might want to err on the side of being a little bit more broad so that you don't, you know what I'm saying, limit yourself. The second thing I want to say is, if you don't see something right now, and at the same time, if you don't have a federal resume, I cannot beg you enough. Again, usajobs.gov, use the USA Jobs Resume Builder tool. That will lead you through step by step, piece by piece, how to put together your federal resume. Because your federal resume, and we can have a whole other conversation, which we're not going to, is a whole different beast than a private sector resume. You need to build your federal resume in the format with all of the pieces that are required. So if you haven't already, go onto usajobs.gov, find that resume builder tool, and it will walk you through how to build your federal resume. So I hope that in that answer, I incorporated a bunch of other things that maybe other people were wondering about.
You definitely did. One of the first questions was actually remote work and whether or not there's remote positions. So we know of at least one, right? And I think Sean or Noel, sorry, said there's 3 currently remote roles.
Yeah, and that's why Doug made that point about, going in and setting up an alert for yourself, because these jobs, they come and go. Like right now, there's not a whole lot of inventory of remote jobs, but Douglas can attest to this. We've done, job in-person hiring events and virtual hiring events where they a particular area has needed a lot of those LES positions. And so they just kind of went and did a whole big hiring event and mass hired a lot of people. So that could come at any moment's notice. We don't really get a whole lot of notice on those things, right, Doug? They might let us know a week or 2 in advance. And then it's like, hey, we want you to travel over here and do this hiring event. And then it's all hands on deck. So that's why it's important to, like Douglas said, to keep those alerts set up for yourself for when those jobs come. It's the hottest job in America right now because it is entry level into the federal government. It's also remote. So military spouses and veterans, when they go other places, they get deployed or have to move around, they can take that job with them because it's fully remote. So that's one of the benefits to that. And it's call center. So if you got good customer service skills, you like dealing with the people, and you love the mission. Again, I mentioned that in the presentation of that being one of our biggest, things is that the mission, taking care of our nation's veterans, their caregivers and survivors. So if you feel passionate about that mission, then I believe the VBA is a good place for you, and we'd love to have you. Are we looking at any other questions in the chat? Or?
We got 5 minutes. Go ahead, Sean. You were going to say something.
No, I saw this question, 2 questions about the graduate healthcare administration training program, the GHATP. How do I talk to someone about that particular program?
So that would fall under VHA. We're with the VBA. Mm-hmm. So we have to consult with some of our colleagues over at VHA. But if that's important to you, we can probably find someone you can talk to.
Great. I'm scrolling down for other questions.
I got them logged, so I can rattle them off. I think we got time. Thanks, Sean, for about 2 more. And then FYI, students, feel free to stay. Alumni, feel free to stay. Doug and Noel are going to just loop this presentation again. We're going to start it all over. So if you joined halfway through, 10 minutes through, absolutely feel free to stay on. So the next question that came through was from Latricia Powell. This got answered. I forget the gentleman. Somebody answered it in the chat, I think. So, but thank you. But I want to ask it just in case. She said, if I am 100% service connected, will I be able to work with the VBA? If so, are there limitations?
Yeah, I mean, most certainly you can work for the VBA. It's about doing the job. I mean, that's what it is, point blank. 1,000%.
Okay. Thanks. Yep. Just to keep it going here, Sabrina Schneider asked, hi, I am currently pursuing a master's in psych. This may be an obvious question, but are civilians able to acquire such positions? Several family members have served since World War I.
Yeah, I mean, so definitely. I am not a veteran. Noel is not a veteran. We are civilian. Both of us have a combination. Both of us have decades of both private sector and federal government recruitment and talent acquisition experience. But we come from the civilian sector. I would say, interestingly, for our Veterans Benefits Administration, I want to say, if memory serves me, the latest breakdown percentage that I read, close to about 60%, 60% of VBA veterans, the other 40% non-veterans. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Good question. I had the same inquiry, right? So although obvious, it's worth answering. Thank you.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Sabrina, we got probably time for one or two more. Sabrina asked, how long is the hiring process for the VSR position?
Woo! That is the $1 million question. We're actually going through a lot of new studies and parameters that are getting put in place to the speed to hire, because again, the longer that we take on the onboarding process, the longer our veterans have to wait to get the benefits and things that they deserve. So the whole Joe Biden, the whole PACT Act initiative was put in place so that we could have even more money and more funding to hire more people and to do it expeditiously. So I can't give you there is no magic number involved, but it really truly depends on the position, the need for that position in terms of how many vacancies they have for that position, and then really it's all hands on deck. So it could, that's almost like a loaded question, really, to say how long does it take, because there is no magic number.
Gotcha.
So I'm sorry, but not sorry. You have anything to add to that, Doug?
No, I mean, I would just say that, I don't have a number. I'm not, full disclosure, I don't have a number for you. I mean, obviously, VA as a federal government agency is trying to stick as closely as possible to the OPM sort of mandate of the 80-day model for all federal government agencies and departments. You know what I mean? From the time somebody applies to the time they actually enter on duty. Having said that, though, I mean, they're you know what I mean? It all, it might take one person short amount of time, depending on their circumstances, to fly through the security background, depending on the level of security, what type of position. Is it a public trust, security process, or do they need secret clearance, or do they need something else clearance? And then, you know what I mean? So there's all those different sort of variables when we start to talk about that, but I mean, they're trying, VA's trying their darndest to like stick to that 80-day OPM model for sure.
Thank you, guys. We're going to conclude this portion. I saw a question in the chat. Doug answered it, I think, but this session will conclude at 4:30 Eastern, so right now, and then we're going to repeat it. So if you're just hopping in, want to stay in, absolutely, we're going to start again. Just give me one administrative moment to stop recording this one.